Welcome to another high-energy recap, where we distill the very best insights from top-tier conversations. Today, we are diving into a massive episode featuring host Nikhil Kamath, a renowned entrepreneur and investor. He sits down with the legendary Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, the founder and executive chairperson of Biocon Limited. Kicking things off, Nikhil asks Kiran about her early days and the origin story of her empire. Kiran explains that she originally wanted to be a doctor, but pivoted to zoology when medical school did not pan out. Following her father's footsteps, she traveled to Australia in 1974 to become a master brewer. She notes she was the only woman in her brewing class. Returning to India a couple of years later, she faced harsh rejection. Breweries refused to hire a female brewmaster because they feared hostile labor unions. Shifting gears to her massive breakthrough, Kiran shares a wild story from 1978. While planning to move to Scotland, she accidentally met Les Auchincloss, an Irish entrepreneur looking to start an enzyme company in India. Kiran was deeply hesitant. She was just 25 years old, had zero business experience, and possessed only 10,000 rupees to her name. Furthermore, she faced massive gender bias. However, the Irish founder convinced her to take the leap. He promised to find her a job if the venture failed within a year. Building on that leap of faith, Kiran launched Biocon in a shed. She faced brutal early struggles. Bankers refused to give a female founder a line of credit. Finally, a supportive banker from Canara Bank took a chance on her. On the hiring front, men outright refused to work for a female boss. As a result, she hired retired tractor mechanics just to get started. Eventually, after landing on the cover of a major magazine, top-tier engineering graduates from IIT began flocking to her company. Moving forward, Biocon grew rapidly. Kiran emphasizes the importance of sharing equity and delegating to a strong core leadership team. A massive inflection point arrived when Unilever acquired her Irish partner's stake. Kiran credits Unilever for teaching her global benchmarks. They also taught her regulatory compliance and the massive value of intellectual property, or IP. Later, in 1998, she bought back Unilever's 30% stake for $2 million. She reveals that her husband, John, sold his house in London to fund this pivotal buyback. Nikhil points out how John was incredibly secure and deeply supportive of Kiran's spotlight and success. Transitioning into the new millennium, Kiran realized the enzyme business had a growth ceiling. She boldly pivoted Biocon into biopharmaceuticals. She leveraged her fermentation technology to create statins and immunosuppressants. Crucially, she developed a recombinant human insulin. This breakthrough crashed the market price, making it affordable compared to animal insulins. To fund this massive expansion, Biocon went public in 2004. Kiran strongly defends the IPO route. She explains that public valuation provides a powerful currency for making massive future acquisitions. Touching on her immense success, Nikhil highlights that Kiran became the richest self-made woman in India. Kiran responds that true wealth is not about money. True wealth is about value creation. Having signed the Giving Pledge, she intends to dedicate a massive portion of her fortune to philanthropy. She specifically targets education and research. Nikhil asks if she regrets not having children. Kiran firmly states she does not. Building Biocon and traveling the world with her husband fulfilled her completely. She does warn, however, that falling birth rates could threaten global economies. Zooming out to the macroeconomic picture, both speakers express extreme bullishness on India. Kiran argues that geopolitical shifts and a booming digital infrastructure make India a top global destination. However, she notes that India desperately needs rapid infrastructure growth. Furthermore, India must double its R&D spending, which currently sits below 1% of the GDP. Building on that point, she pushes for a fully convertible capital account to attract even more global investment. Tackling another critical issue, Nikhil points out India's very low female workforce participation. Kiran totally agrees. She calls out the massive gender bias that still exists in venture capital funding today. She actively fights this within Biocon. She specifically mandates her leadership team to drastically increase female representation. Her target is 30% female presence on all manufacturing shop floors. Looking at Biocon's recent mega moves, Kiran explains that she divested her original enzyme business in 2007. This allowed her to go all in on biopharmaceuticals. Fast forward to recently, Biocon finalized a massive $3 billion acquisition of a U.S. partner's commercial business. This move positioned them as a global powerhouse in the biosimilars market. For young founders looking at biotech, Kiran points to personalized medicine, mRNA vaccines, and CRISPR gene editing as the most explosive frontiers for innovation. Wrapping up on a deeply personal note, Nikhil praises Kiran's incredible resilience. She pushed forward even after losing both her mother and her husband. Kiran shares her mother's dying advice. That advice was to never waste time grieving and to live life to the absolute fullest. Finally, concluding the episode, Nikhil and Kiran commit to donating 50 lakh rupees to a charity chosen entirely by the audience. This proves their massive commitment to community impact. That wraps up this incredibly inspiring journey of resilience, massive scale, and breaking boundaries. Thanks for tuning in, and stay pumped for our next audio breakdown.